All right. Certainly a disappointing result, but we didn't play well enough to go win that game, and Indiana certainly did. That really well coached team. They did a great job. They did a great job in this game. They had a great plan. They were able to create pressure throughout, and we struggled on third down, struggled to protect the quarterback. Ultimately, they were more prepared for us in this moment. I don't think there was any letdown from our players. Our crowd was outstanding, created some penalties and some opportunities for us. But ultimately, we shot ourselves in the foot and had several penalties ourselves, which has been a little bit uncharacteristic for us. So can't play behind the chains on offense. We had a hard time generating success, and anytime we did, we kind of hurt ourselves. But again, unbelievably prepared, great team. Coach Signetti, their quarterback, played well. Their defense played really, really well, right? And they did some things that'll be good for us to be able to attack and look at for the future.
Right here on the right, Zach.
We saw last year what Ohio State did, losing 2 games in the regular season, going on to win a championship. How much is that sort of what you're preaching to your team right now, that this season you still have a lot in front of you?
Our players know that. They recognize what's in front of them, and it's about improvement. It's about going to attack. And, it's hard to go unscathed in college football, especially against a good team. So they played a better game than us. They were a better coach than us today. And our guys recognize that every one of our goals is still in front of us and an opportunity to attack.
Front left, James.
Once you're tied at 20, their go-ahead drive there with 3 third-down conversions, one albeit on an offsides. What did you see on the third downs that led to their success on that drive?
Yeah, I mean, just you try to have tight matches. I thought their quarterback did a good job of getting from 1 to 3 and finding the open guy. One of them we slipped and fell down. I have to go back and see the offsides. That surprised me. It's not a reviewable play, but I thought we were off the field in time. It's something we said we had to be clean on substitutions. We weren't, and then they were able to run the ball and control the clock. We didn't do a good job of having responsibility for the quarterback on a couple of those plays where we thought we did, but it's something we'll go back and evaluate.
On the left, Eric.
Just over 60 yards in the second half on offense. How would you explain that performance? What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it means they made better adjustments in the second half than we did, right? And we come out and get a stop, defensively early on. But again, I think the penalties really hurt us in the second half. Some negative plays that we weren't able to create, and I thought they had a really good plan that we have to have more in-game adjustments to be able to handle. They played well and we didn't play well enough. So no excuses from us. That they deserve credit in this win.
Stay on the left here, Joe.
Specifically with the rushing attack, what they were able to do in the second half. Just what did you think they did successfully to be able to shut that down?
Yeah, I mean, they had hats in a loaded box. You look even at the interception there at the end, you're trying to throw an advantage RPO, you get a batted ball when they have a loaded box, and they do a great job of creating that and turn that into an interception. So ultimately we have to go look at the film, see what they did, make sure we have proper answers for it in the future.
Right here on the right.
Stowe, what did you see from Brandon on the pick six? What worked well?
Yeah, we're man-to-man coverage. He did a great job. I mean, that's one of the harder routes to defend in man-to-man is a crossing route from the opposite side. He did a great job breaking on the ball. We had good pressure up front. Great job finishing in the end zone and turning that into a touchdown for us.
Here on the left, Max.
Hey, Coach, for a guy like Dante who's had such a strong start to his career here at Oregon, what's kind of your messaging to him and how he can grow from this game moving forward?
Yeah, adversity is real, right? You're going to face it at some point in your career. It's about how you respond to it, right? We didn't have our fastball today. They did a great job. In this game, everybody wants to look at players and say, oh, well, this is the reason. That was a team effort, right? And that was a team loss, right? And their team played better than us. It wasn't Dante. It was the whole group, is the coaching staff, is the players. So ultimately, Dante's going to look at this as an opportunity to learn from it as well. We'll grow from it and get better.
Right back in the middle.
Dante took a sack within the first seconds of the game. It was the first snap. What was the conversation like? How did you instill confidence in him after that? And do you think that he had confidence throughout all 4 quarters?
Yeah, I think Dante has confidence. Again, I thought they had a better plan, right? Ultimately, and there's some things that we put on film that they did a good job taking advantage of. They had a good rush all day. Where our protection wasn't clean, we can get better in that area. But Dante's a confident player. He's a guy that we have a lot of confidence in.
On the right, Zach.
Dante got dinged a little bit on one of those sacks in the third quarter. Is he okay from what you know, and how much do you think that impacted him for the rest of the game?
Yeah, I think Dante's okay. He's a tough kid, right? He took some hits today, and we got to do a better job protecting our quarterback to avoid that.
Right on the left, James.
267 is the lowest yards in your tenure, Dan, albeit against an excellent defense statistically. What are there things they were doing that was either unexpected or taken away, particularly Kenyon or the air on the ground more? What were your thoughts on the offense when it was that not productive in terms of yards.
Yeah, it felt like they had the pin last. They had extra hats at the point of attack. And then in situations where we're having to throw for it, they did a great job defending the sticks. They were aggressive. Again, I think they're really well coached. They won the 50-50 balls. Some of those are really close as far as connection and how tight they are in coverage, but they did a good job being tight in coverage. We were trying to take the top off a couple times. They did a good job of being on top when we had those moments.
Turn on the right.
Right before the pick six, Bryce Betcher got a tackle, came up firing up the crowd. What did you see from him and some of your leaders today in a situation where you're chasing the game for parts of it?
Yeah, I think these guys played till the end, and there were some moments that we made some great plays, and there's some moments where we didn't make the play that was necessary and the play we're supposed to make. So those will be opportunities for us to tag. But Bryce always leads. He led all the way throughout the game. Never wavered. But again, you let a team be in position like they were to have success, and you don't create enough positive on when you have the opportunity, that you're going to end up coming on the short end of the stick.
Front left, Aaron.
At Penn State, you credited your team for finding ways to overcome adversity. Do you feel like mentally, at least this team was in the same mindset? They just X's and O's, why it just didn't work out, or was that not? What was that missing?
I don't think anybody in the organization did the best that they're capable of today, myself included. It starts with me. And I thought their plan was better and ours wasn't. There's some moments going back early in the game that, I'm already saying, okay, we handled this wrong and didn't put our guys in position to have success. But that'll be something we can go improve. Like I said, I thought our players played hard. But there's a moment there when you're not having success on offense that you have some self-doubt that's going to set in. It's something that we'll have to attack and make sure that we have a great plan for in the future.
Go to second row, Eric.
I wanted to get your thoughts on the final series in the first half of it. What was the thinking on the third down run play, and was there like a hesitation? Did you consider going for it on fourth there? Or what was
No, I think we wanted to take points there. That's a kick that Atkins has made a lot of times. We felt, if you go back and look at it, and again, I have to go see it, but we felt like we had a really advantageous run look, and we were just a cut away from making that into an explosive play. If it was tight, if it was 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, it might have been a go. But ultimately felt like taking the points there was the right thing to do, and we just didn't make the kick.
Here on the left, John.
A big game for Surratt today and able to make plays in some big moments as well. Just what did you think of the matchup between him and your corners today?
Yeah, I felt like we were a little loose in coverage. We were soft at times. We got to do a better job playing catch when we're playing off, and I think that's a really hard technique to play. So they did a good job taking advantage of it, and we didn't get enough work on it, in the week to have success. But he's a really good wideout. Mendoza threw the ball really, really well to him and was able to find it, and then ultimately our rush didn't necessarily get home. They had a batted ball that mattered there at the end. I think we had one in the game. We got to get more batted balls and more impact on the quarterback.
Back middle, and then we're going to go to Brennan in the last row.
Coach, you keep referencing things that you thought you could have done better in this game. So what do you think you could have done better in this game?
Yeah, ultimately I don't think our plan was great. At times we played well defensively. We had some short fields, but ultimately we didn't stop the run when it mattered most. We got to have a better plan to stop the run there at the end of the game. Didn't do a good job contesting balls, defensively. Third down, we weren't good on offense, and we got to be able to avoid, third down. We had some positive runs on certain schemes, and then there were some really negative runs. You can't take negatives against a team like this. Tempo, we didn't handle well. I thought they handled our tempo extremely well on offense, excluding the early touchdown pass there to Malik. But they had some good tempo answers for us that we didn't have great answers, for what they were doing. Their pitches were better than our pitches, and ultimately that's something we can improve.
Right here on the right, Zach.
Jordan Davison got his most run so far this year. What was it about him in this matchup that you really liked going with him? Yeah,
we felt like he had a hot hand at one point in the game, was running really well, was falling forward for yards, did a good job of doing positive, yards. We were having success with, some of our duo plays, things like that he runs really well.
That's all we have for you, Coach. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.